What is up, everybody? Hope you have an amazing day today. If you're new to the channel, we're happy to have you. I'm Marcus.
I'm Shakey, and today we're going to be talking about wholesaling real estate. Wholesaling is by far the easiest way to get in the real estate game.
So, if you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop us a like. If you have any questions about anything you hear, comment down below. Let's get to it.
All right, wholesaling real estate. We have the dictionary definition here, but I just want to put it in simple terms to where anyone that's never done a real estate deal or never even heard of wholesaling will understand.
Yep.
So wholesaling real estate is basically you find someone that wants to sell their property. You then put their property under contract saying you're going to purchase it or assign it to an end buyer. Mm-hmm. Make sure that person that's selling it knows that you're going to be potentially assigning it to someone else to actually close on purchasing it. Then you go and find you an end buyer who's going to buy the property and fund the deal. You never close on it with the seller. You only close on it with the end buyer. Mm-hmm. So let's say, for example, you find a seller that wants to sell their property for $100,000. Then you want to go out and find you a buyer that wants to buy the property for more than $100,000. Let's say they want to buy it for $110,000. You get the difference. That is something called an assignment fee. You make a $10,000 assignment fee because that's the difference between what it actually sold for, which is $110, mm-hmm. and the amount that you put it under contract originally for the $100,000. Right. So you get $10,000. Just that
basically you're playing the middleman. You're connecting a seller with the end buyer, and you're making a fee in between.
Right, which is called an assignment fee.
Right.
And typically you want to make sure that you write the contract up with the buyer to where they're paying the closing costs, mm-hmm. Because that makes the deal more attractive to the seller as well as yourself. You're not having to pay the closing costs out of your assignment fee.
Right.
So what can you wholesale in real estate? Mm-hmm. A lot of times people think you only can wholesale single family houses, but you also can do vacant lots. Yep. Commercial buildings is a great one. You can make a huge profit off commercial buildings because they sell for so much.
Right.
Townhomes, condos, we've done some of those. Mobile homes, modular homes. Storage facilities is also a really big one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting to storage facilities because they make huge profits monthly. So a lot of people are looking for those.
Yeah, they're just easy.
Right.
Really easy.
You ever find a storage facility, be very easy to get it off your hands if you get it at the right price. Right. Hence bringing us to our next bullet point there. Anything that can be occupied currently or for future use, like vacant lots. It's not currently occupied, but you can put a house on there, a modular home on there, if it's the right price. Right. So let's talk about if it's the right price. So it's something called an ARV. That means after repair value. So for instance, that $100,000 house that you put on the contract originally up here, you want to make sure that you're getting a property that's 70% of the after repair value. So if you find a property that's worth ARV $100,000, mm-hmm. you need to get it for at the very least $70,000 because that will be 70% of the $100,000 ARV value.
Right.
So.
And then you got minus the repairs. So like if it needs like a new kitchen or a new bathroom or something like that, you factor that in, and then after that you put in the fee that you want to make. So let's say like on the $100,000 home, 70% value, you got to get it at $70,000. Let's say it need $10,000 at work, right? So that's another 10 that you take off. And let's say you want to make 10 off the deal, then that's another 10. So you have to get it at least what, $50,000 to factor all those costs in to make the deal actually work for everybody that's involved.
Right. So just breaking it down once again, if the market value of the property, hence the ARV, is $100,000.
Right.
You're starting off with $70,000 because that is the 70% value, and then it's going to need $10,000 worth of repairs. So you're at 60.
Right.
But you also want to make $10,000 off of it when you assign it to your end buyer. So then you're at 50.
Right.
So you need to put the contract under. You need to put the property under contract with your seller for $50,000 or less in order to make your $10,000 assignment fee.
Right.
Because the end buyers then is going to have to go in and put in that $10,000 in order to make, the money that they're going to be making, because we'll get into all that later, because buyers that buy wholesale properties, they're most likely going to be flipping it or rent it out, so they're going to have to put in that work, and most people won't lend over most lenders won't lend over the 70% value to them, but that's for another video. I don't want to confuse you. Let's stick with wholesaling.
Right.
So do you need money up front to wholesale?
Yes.
Yes. You will need to do some marketing. You can trade some time for the money, meaning if you don't have a huge budget to market, you can put in more work into your marketing pieces.
Right.
When we first started, we didn't have a huge budget. We hand wrote the letters ourselves. Then we got a little fancy. We bought a big printer and we started printing ourselves. So instead of using a mail house, we went out and spent money on a printer, and we were printing the letters. So the only money that came out of our pocket was for paper, ink, and stamps.
Yeah.
So you're able to, kind of get around it by doing some things like that, just getting a little bit creative if you have more time. I was at home during the time, so I had more time.
Right.
But if you don't have a lot of time, you want to get with those mailing houses. They do everything start to finish. You send them the addresses.
Yep.
Boom, it's done.
Yeah, so they'll do it for you. Of course, it just costs a little bit more money. So,
right.
Originally, I was handwriting everything. I was doing like 200 letters a month. And then after we got our first deal, that's when we got all fancy and went to Office Depot, about this big old printer, and did like mail merge with Microsoft Office, which is something that we'll teach in a later video, teach you how to do those kind of things. So,
right. Yeah. Right. So since you will need some money, I don't want to put amount on it. So what we do recommend is you sitting down and evaluating your budget for your household expenses, and just seeing how much you can spend every month to consistently market, because you don't want to send out marketing pieces one month and then the next month decide, well, I can no longer market, because you're going to have to consistently send out marketing pieces in order to get that deal and consistently get deals.
Right. So we're going to do a monthly budget, but you're going to mail every single week within that month. So keep that in mind.
That is correct. Okay, marketing strategies to obtain properties and buyers. So we have postcards. We actually started off with postcards. We had 4x6 postcards. We'll put a link to the copy of the postcards that we actually use below. And then we went on to yellow letters. Those are the letters I was talking about previously. We were handwriting.
Yes.
And then we went on to white letters. I went back to work, so we no longer had the time to put into it. So then we started throwing more money at it, and we used white letters, and we used a mailing house to send out those letters. And we'll put a link to the mailing house that we used, and also the actual letter, template of the letter, just trying to add some value.
Hooking you guys up.
Yeah. So also another strategy that we love to use is cold calling. And cold calling, you have to do something called skip tracing. If you have a person or address, you buy software, or you use someone to look them up, get their phone number, and you give them a call. Yep. And you just say, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking at purchasing properties in your area. If they're on the foreclosure list, you make sure you stress the fact that you're in this business to help. If you are in to help, because that's why we got into business, to help people, especially people going through foreclosures.
So you think the call would be awkward, but as soon as you start getting to the point to where you can actually help them, then the conversation gets a little bit different, and most oftentimes we are able to help people out, and that's kind of why that's the reason why we're in this business. So I hope that's the reason why you're seeking out real estate too, because the most successful people in this business are the ones who are actually out to like seriously help people.
Cool. Yes, that is true. um, bandit signs is the next strategy that you can use. We no longer use bandit signs. We tried
Yeah.
it one time, just giving that disclosure. We did not have a good experience with bandit signs, but we put it down here because we know people in the game personally that are
Yes.
killing it with
Yep.
only using bandit signs. It's a good way if you don't have a huge budget to reach the masses. And if you never heard of what a bandit sign is, it's if you stop at a red light, you see the sign, we
No
buy houses
houses.
stuck up on the light pole. I want to buy your house fast for cash with phone number on there.
Yes.
Simple way to do it if you know how to do it correctly. We never mastered it.
Right. So what I've heard is like it's kind of like illegal, so to speak.
Right.
So what I've seen people do is they'll put a bandit sign out on Friday and go back and pick it up on like Monday, so that the bandit sign police don't, either take it down or try to contact you or something like that. So we didn't have those experiences. We just saw that we got a few calls from them. We didn't get as many as we had liked, but in real estate, you're gonna find what works for you. So,
Right.
like I said, we have a friend who's, killing it. But that just wasn't the case for us. We had to find out what worked for us.
Right. The next thing is door knocking. Door knocking is if you get a lead on the property. A lot of times, this is door knocking happens when you find foreclosures or tax auctions, properties that are going to be going up for tax auctions, and you want to, look for that person and look for their new address,
Yep.
and then go and door knock at their new address, telling them who you are, you're interested in helping them out with their situation, and seeing if they just want a little bit of help. We actually obtained our first real estate deal from door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Door knocking is a great strategy. Just make sure you're careful. You're careful and
Yeah.
protecting yourself when you're doing so. But what you'll find is most people are very forthcoming. They're very friendly. They're willing to listen to what you have to say and willing to like disclose what's going on with their situation.
Yep.
Driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is another good way if you don't have a huge budget and if you're, working 9 to 5 or in corporate America job. If you spend a lot of time in your car, those houses that you see with the grass that's grown up,
Mm-hmm.
papers on the door, homes that just don't look like they've been taken care of or lived in. If you don't see the trash out on trash day, no
Yep.
lights on ever,
Mm-hmm.
those are most likely vacant houses. You want to try to find those property owners and send them some type of marketing piece or cold call them.
Mm-hmm.
Internet marketing. I'm not an expert at that. Marcus is. I'll let him explain some ways you can do some internet marketing to find buyers as well as sellers.
Yeah. So a very cool way that you can go about marketing to motivated sellers is through Facebook marketing. You can use something like ClickFunnels. So the cool thing about Facebook is that you can actually take email addresses, phone numbers, zip codes, and you can get very, very specific with your targeting. So you can target like exact people, like down to the address, phone number, or email. So that's very, very targeted, very, very powerful marketing, which is something that I hope to create a video on at a later date. To continue to give you guys value, but that's a very, very powerful strategy.
Right. And the last thing we have here, but the ways of marketing are endless. But the last thing we have on our particular video is networking,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a huge one that newbies miss. And I have it down here for just buyers, but networking can lead to anything. It can actually lead to leads on sellers.
Sure can.
Networking at real estate events, finding real estate events in your area. Also, not just networking within the real estate realm,
Mm-hmm.
networking with friends and family, telling them what you're doing. Because if no one knows what you're doing, they don't know that you need help in that
Right.
industry, or they don't know to bring you someone that may want to sell their house.
Yes.
They don't know to bring you someone that may have some extra cash and wants to buy houses. So you just want to make sure you're networking as much as you can. And a lot of people like to wait till they have everything in order, business cards and everything. No.
Nope.
Get out there, get to your local real estate events, get your name out there, make sure everyone knows your name, knows your face, know what you're doing.
Right.
So the last thing we want to talk about is our first example with, example with our first wholesale deal. Start to finish. Our first wholesale deal came from the yellow letters that we were writing. We did not get any deals from postcards. We didn't have much success with postcards either.
Yeah.
But once we moved to those yellow letters, we started handwriting them. We got our first deal pretty fast. We sent out letters 1 week. Second week, we got a phone call. It was someone within the area that we're actually from that wanted to sell their property. We were very happy and excited about that. We marketed to this area because we were from it, and we knew that we can relate to anyone that called us from the area, and we also were happy about, helping people in the area that we're from. Because if anyone calls saying they want to sell their property, we knew that they most likely needed some help out of a certain situation.
Right.
So he called and said he was interested in selling his dad's property, the property he grew up in. He had gotten married, gotten older. They now own their own home. Immediately met him out there. You want to make sure you can get to these properties as soon as someone calls. You have to realize you are not the only one that's sending them mailing pieces. You're not the only one that has been in contact with them.
Right.
If you're not able to meet right away, they're just going to move on to the next company or the next person. So I met him out there within the hour. And Marcus met me as well. Toured the property. It was one of the worst houses I've seen.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
Didn't even have a ceiling.
You can
see through the ground. Me walking. One room didn't have a ceiling. The other one didn't have a floor.
Yeah.
It's just the ground.
Right.
Crazy.
And so just talking to him about the property, getting, just the rundown on what had happened with it. Again, it was his property that his dad owned, and going through how much he wanted to sell it for. We negotiated there at the property. He originally wanted $25,000 for it. I negotiated him down to $16,000. And negotiation is a huge way to make sure you maximize your profits.
Yes.
I still could have been profitable at $25,000, but I knew we both could win at $16,000.
Right.
So I talked him down to $16,000. Met him at his home later, where he wanted to talk to his wife first before signing the contract. I said, that's fine. I'll give you a call later, make sure everything is fine. Everything is good to go with her. Met them there later, was able to sit down with his wife. We talked for a good 2 hours. Come to find out, we had several things in common. We all grew up in the same area. They were a much older couple. She had some health issues, same issues my younger brother had. He's since passed away, but we were able to connect on an emotional level. So we always like to, gain that rapport with our sellers and our buyers.
That's very important.
Right.
That can make the difference between you helping them out or them moving on to someone else.
Exactly.
They feel like they can connect with you and they can trust you, then you guys will more than likely be the ones to actually get the deal.
Exactly. And so yeah, we were able to get the contract signed that day for the $16,000. Again, this is where the networking comes into play. We hadn't built up our buyers list yet. So we knew someone, we had a friend in the wholesaling game. He was killing it already. Hey, we have a property. We just got in a contract. We don't have a buyer's list yet. He was able to say, yeah, I'm willing to help y'all out. So we partnered on the deal. We found the deal, got it in the contract, and he was able to bring us a buyer within 3 days. Yes. And it only took 3 days because he was trying to make sure he got the highest offer.
Right.
So we closed within a week and a half, start to finish, getting the property on the contract and actually going to the closing table and getting our assignment fee. We ended up selling the property for $32,000. Hence, we got a $16,000 assignment fee total, but we split that with our partner and ended up walking away with $8,000.
Right.
So that was a great deal, great start to wholesaling. That's the whole wholesaling game.
Yep. In a nutshell.
Right. Hope y'all got something out of it. Make sure you comment down below. Like it if you like the video. Subscribe to our channel if you've already subscribed. Thank you so much. We love you guys. Hopefully, we can continue bringing the fire, bringing value,
Yes.
adding value to you guys.
Yes.
We'll make sure that we put the link for the postcards and the yellow letters down below.
Mm-hmm.
Not yellow letters, white letters,
yeah.
down below. Thank you again. Talk to you later.
Peace.